Hello everyone and welcome to the 19th episode in the series of things you may have missed in The Witcher 3. Despite making 5 videos about Blood and Wine, in addition to the exclusive episodes about Regis and Oriana, we're still not done with this expansion. But I promise you we're getting there and we will soon be back to the base game. Okay, you should know by now that these videos tend to be very spoilery, so be warned. And based on how YouTube works, I bet some of you haven't seen the previous 18 episodes, so if that's the case, the link to the full playlist is in the description. Okay, with that out of the way, let us get over another 10 details that I think you may have missed about Blood and Wine. For the first one, we go back to prison. In case you're not sure, we can get there in one of the endings where Dettlaff kills Syanna.
A shame.
Syanna!
So, you remember these guys who fight you while you wash the dirty rags?
And voila!
They're actually the same guys who fight you when you meet the BOOTBLACK for the first time.
Just who the spit are you?
His father.
And the thing you may have missed here is that the dialogue with them in prison changes based on what happened between you during the BOOTBLACK sequence earlier. Here's how it goes if you defeated them.
Worry about yourselves. Tried me once already, remember? Didn't work out well, for as I recall. Why tempt fate?
We're changed men. Prison does that to you.
And you're the one who put us here.
Oh, we've been dreaming of this. A miracle by which you would land in here. And voila!
And here's what happens if you lost the fight.
Worry about yourselves. Managed to knock me down once, sure, but that was an accident. I promise.
An accident, you say? Well, those happen all the time. And some men are just prone to them, as you very well might be.
Apart from which, we would not be here if not for you. So think of us as the trap you set for yourself. An accident waiting to happen.
Oh, we've been dreaming of this. A miracle by which you would land in here. And voila!
Another tiny detail here is that if you won the fight, you will shove the guy much more forcefully.
I'm investigating the beast, on the Duchess's orders.
Ah, yes.
I'm investigating the beast, on the Duchess's orders.
Ah, yes. We've heard of you.
Alright, moving on to number 2, we find ourselves right about here, to the southwest of Fox Hollow, where a rabid rock troll has set up a camp. During our encounter with it, you may have missed the fact that it's female. It actually calls itself She-Troll.
She-Troll smack! You dies!
But more importantly, there is a cage with a man who's recently died in it, right above the roses. Next to the body, there's a bloody note. It was written by the dead man, and it tells the story of how he ended up here. It turns out that this particular troll was in love with him, or something, and often showed up at his estate. He then set out to Beauclair to request for a knight-errant to deal with it. However, on his way there, the she-troll showed up and proposed marriage to him, or something. He declined, of course, but that didn't help him much since the troll kidnapped him and locked him up here. It seems he did indeed starve to death, as he couldn't bear to eat the carrion soup that the lady troll was brewing. Okay, on that sad note, let's go to thing you may have missed number 3. And well, it's about Regis once again.
I'm not certain I know what to say.
In the video I made about him, I got a couple of messages saying that he actually wears Dettlaff's ring at some point.
It's actually mine.
Now initially, I thought that's not true, because I've actually looked for that ring on his hand. I have looked for it both during the Toussaint Mutna sequence, which is the first thing we get to do with Regis after he gets the ring, and also immediately afterwards when we visit Dettlaff's shop together, and there was no ring on his hand in either of those occasions. However, after going over all the footage I have of Regis, it turns out that there is indeed the briefest of moments where he wears the ring. It is during the cutscene which takes place immediately after Toussaint Mutna in Regis's home, and it's only there during the first part, before Geralt takes the mixture. I suspect that this may be an oversight by the developers, and that the ring was supposed to be worn by Regis for a longer period, because as it is, it turns out that he didn't take the ring during the Toussaint Mutna trial, where I think it would have made sense, but no. It seems that then, when he came back home, he put it on for a moment, and when Geralt drank the potion, he removed it, and then never wore it ever again. It's a little peculiar, I think, but there you go. Perhaps you'll share your thoughts on the matter. And from here on, I think most of the details in this video are from you guys, from my viewers. Starting with number 4, it is brought to you by this gentleman called... Gosh, I'm not sure.
Hàng Huynh.
It's quite interesting though. It's a rare note you can find in one of the tents at the tourney, and only in case Emperor Emhyr died during the main game. If you're not sure, that happens if you let either Dijkstra or Radovid rule the north. I know at least one member of my Discord server who has certainly missed that, and it's actually a letter, not a note, from two people called Orm and Gorm, telling one of the participants, namely this guy, that Emhyr is dead, and they heavily suggest that the Emperor was their half-brother, specifically that he was a child of their father's. They also claim that he was buried somewhere in secret and that they will seek vengeance against those who turned on him. And in case you don't know, officially, Emhyr is supposed to be the son of one of the emperors of Nilfgaard, specifically that one who diddled whores.
In Nilfgaard, the king diddled whores.
Okay, time for number 5. This is really short, but sweet I think. It takes place during the Unseen Elder sequence, and it is brought to you by a gentleman called Mohammed Adnan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and it's about those unique proto-vampires that can only be seen in the Unseen's lair. What you may have missed is that their journal entry starts with a quote by Geralt of Rivia, which is not word for word, but it's pretty close to what Geralt says when he sees them, since he is in fact the very first human to ever meet them and live to tell the tale.
Damn it, what kind of vampire was that? Never seen the likes.
I wonder if the lines are identical in Polish. Alright, for number 6, I've got 2 details about Anna Henrietta soon after she rips her skirt. First, you know how you split up with her and she goes to seek the phoenix egg?
Alert!
Well, you can follow her and watch her while she is ordering everyone around to go find the egg and bring it to her.
My dear subject,
The gaze.
lend me your ears. Now!
Shiver just looking at him.
You must all spread out and penetrate the area and bring me the phoenix egg.
But your grace...
I ask you nicely. Hop, hop. Do this for me. The time to explain will come later.
Duchessa does not fear him as well.
Then, later on, you get a cutscene where she opens it and drops it on the ground. The camera even strategically switches to it for a moment. Well, it turns out that if you go back to the same spot after catching Dettlaff, you can loot that very same egg off the ground. It can neither be sold nor dismantled, nor does it give you anything, so it's a bit of a mystery, I suppose.
But it's against the rules.
I am the rules.
And now, for number 7, we have not so much a missed detail, but rather a funny thing you can pull off. This one is brought to you by Adnan Mashfi, probably not related to the previous gentleman with the same name, and it's about the very start of Blood and Wine. As you know, you can only begin the expansion after you free Dandelion in the main story.
Fine, she can stay.
How about a game of Gwent?
Sure, let's play.
Have I won again? My goodness. So, another round? If you've no more coin, we could play for...
They're coming! They're coming now!
At that point, the Redanian soldiers retreat from the place and Palmerin arrives alongside Milton. However, if you visit the place earlier, even though the knights aren't there, the drawings of the beast are already on the table. What's more, you can actually loot them. So if you do, then free Dandelion, and then come back to take the contract, you'll get the same scene, but with an empty table.
How many victims so far?
2. When her grace learnt of the second, she discharged us immediately to fetch you, promising grants of land and fortunes in gold.
The beast cannot be tracked. Folks say it wields black magic. Also, both victims were nobly born, and the start of a tourney draws near.
Alright, for number 8, we jump straight into the end of the expansion after the Night of Long Fangs. This one is brought to you by a lady called Julia Black, and it reveals something rather curious. All innkeepers in Beauclair begin selling mirrors, garlic, and wooden stakes after the vampire attack. Here's an example of what this woman offers before.
Well, well, the one and only Geralt. The bridge his crest graces my establishment. What do you need, sir?
Be so kind as to show me what you have to sell.
And here's after.
Be so kind as to show me what you have to sell.
And of course, it reminds me very much of the final detail I talked about in the previous episode, where it turned out that the guards who fight the vampires also carry such items. Now before I continue, let me do my quick and customary interruption, where I ask you to give this video a like, if you've been enjoying it so far of course, and perhaps to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. Also, I'd like to give special thanks to all my supporters on Patreon and my members on YouTube, especially throughout these somewhat trying times. It is very much appreciated. Alright, that's enough of that, back to the final 2 details. At number 9, I have something that's not quite confirmed, but I thought it sounds really cool, so why not mention it and see what you guys think of it. Especially those of you who play the game in Polish, I'll have a question for you in the end. So we move to the land of Thousand Fables, specifically the second portion where you fight the Cloud Giant. A viewer of mine by the name of Mr. Cervello noticed that both Geralt and Syanna are being very, how shall I put it, advertiser friendly, if you will, in YouTube's terms. It's as though they avoid using profanities on purpose. Syanna, for example, says that the world has gone ape mad.
I told you this land had gone ape mad.
Which, I can't say much about that because I don't really know her normal way of speaking that well. But Geralt, specifically, calls the giant a tough son of a wench.
For a fairy tale creature, that was one tough son of a wench.
And he is pretty comfortable with saying son of a bitch, normally.
One tough son of a bitch.
So, Mr. Cervello theorized that perhaps the fairy tale land, being the playground of little noble girls, has a kind of magical profanity filter installed by their uncle. I really like that idea. However, there is a major hole in the theory. And that is that in English, at least, Geralt can tell Syanna that she fucked up.
Ah, you're just less interesting than you think. I've met a lot like you.
Well, well. You've seen right through me.
Not entirely. Still don't know if you realize how badly you fucked up, doing what you did to Dettlaff.
On second thought, I liked you more when you were silent.
And this is the question for the Polish viewers. Can you please check if there is an unusual absence of bad language during this whole section of the game in Polish, and leave a comment below.
The musicians of Blaviken. Huh, you've some link to the town as well, don't you?
Alright, and for the final 10th detail, we have something brought to you by a lady called Colette Roche, or Roche or something, if she's French. But anyway, in one of the previous episodes in the series, I showed some curious things in the hospital of Toussaint. One of the minor ones was a patient whose legs were cut off. So Colette wrote that perhaps this man is the father of this lady. You can talk to her by cleaning out the centipedes right about here, and she says this.
Lippink Lippiota! We're saved! My hero.
No hero, just a witcher. Slaying monsters is my job.
Brave and humble! Oh my! Oh!
Run this vineyard all by our lonesome?
Oh no! My father's the vintner. Oh, an excellent one too. I merely help out.
So where's your father?
In the hospital. After he was wounded by those monsters. But he gets better by the day.
What are you offering? What can I buy?
The best herbs in all Toussaint!
I don't think Colette is exactly right, because the man does not look like he's getting better by the day, but it turns out that there are in fact 2 male patients in the whole place, and the other one does indeed look much better. So I believe he may truly be this lady's father, and that's something I've absolutely missed. Okay, and with all of that, I think I'm done. Needless to say, I'm extremely grateful to all the people who left comments and messages with all kinds of interesting stuff. I normally have a couple of details from the audience in these videos, but in this one it's actually more than half, I think. So thank you very much, guys. Last but not least, thanks to everyone else for watching and for their support, and until the next video, stay tuned and be good.